Yeah. What's going on, everybody? Avery says hi. This is the Daily Fantasy Show brought to you by DFO. I am Josh. It is,
And this is Avery.
and this is Avery.
And this is...
It is Thursday, December 21st. We have a 10-game slate. Sorry for the delay. Avery decided he wanted to take a little nap in the car. Am I right? Yeah. And then my internet wasn't working, but here we are. And we're going to do it. You all right? We good? We ready? Me. I have it. It's in my hand. So, yeah, we're going to go through game by game here. I'm going to probably do a little bit quicker than normal since it is almost 5:30 already. And I want you guys to have a little bit of time to adjust your lineups if you need. So, I'm going to, just kind of do a summary. Questions. I will answer questions at the end. Sound good? Here we go. Yummy. You got it? There you go. Oop. Sorry. I just Ric Flaired you. Okay. First game of the night, we have the Winnipeg Jets traveling to Boston to face the Bruins. It's going to be, I know, Connor Hellebuck. Man, my internet is just a mess. Against Tuukka Rask. Yeah. It is. I don't get paid because I'm pretty. So, there's questions about Marchand tonight. I know I am really tired. Krejci's a game-time decision. I think he's out. Spooner's a game-time decision. Riley Nash is a game-time decision. The Boston Bruins emergency recalled somebody. So it looks like Krejci's definitely out, I think. Yeah. So Spooner, Nash, and Marchand are all game-time decisions. So at least it's the first game. It's one of the 7 o'clock games, so you'll know in warm-ups. I think Boston is one of the better line stacks tonight. They are over 20,000. They're the third most expensive tonight. I don't know about the Islanders tonight. I like them, but I like LA too. The Boston Bruins are the third most expensive stack tonight behind Tampa top line and the Islanders top line. If Marchand is in, if he is in, I saw our resident pal, an awesome guy who spits out a ton of awesome stats, at Slim Cliffy, say that Bergeron, Marchand, and Pastrnak have not given up a goal, have not been on the ice for a goal against 5-on-5 this season, which is incredible. Yeah, but that really doesn't have anything to do with me using Boston tonight. The flu is kind of a mess. It's going around a bunch of teams. Cost Tyler Johnson a late scratch the other night. I would imagine Marchand's going to play, but he's got to wait till warm-ups. If he's in, I do really like Boston top line tonight. It remains to be seen the depth lines, who's going to be in and out. So I would kind of wait and see. Yeah, but Spooner is one of the game-time decision guys. He's sick as well, I think. Or Spooner might be hurt or sick or, sipping on that yak. I don't know. Purple drink. Who knows? But yeah. So if Marchand's in, Boston definitely in play for me. The top line anyway. I'll wait and see what their lines look like before I decide on the depth lines. On the other side, with Winnipeg 1, I don't really like, stacking against lines that are going to face Bergeron, especially at home. I've heard people bring up the Blake Wheeler narrative. I think he got traded out of Boston like 14 years ago. Bob, yeah, Bob might be hurt. I believe that. But yeah, so I don't know if there's a Blake Wheeler narrative tonight. But I get them. I understand why people want to use Winnipeg one tonight. They're a good team. One of the best lines in the NHL, but they're going up against one of the best defensive centers in the NHL, which kind of cancels each other out on the defensive end. I will say, the Winnipeg power play probably just have a little bit of advantage. I'm not a huge Tuukka Rask guy, so I mean, if you want to use Winnipeg one for the power play, I get it. I mean, we have to see where Kyle Connor is. I know Ehlers moved up to the top line last game, but the coach did not. Yeah, you like Kyle? You like Connor? You want to sit on my lap?
No.
Okay. Ow. So I don't know if Kyle Connor's going to be up on the top line or it's going to be Ehlers. Either way, I'm probably going to fade Winnipeg top line tonight just because there's 20 teams playing and I don't want to use a line going up against Bergeron. The second line for Winnipeg, if it is Ehlers on the second line, I think that bumps it up a little bit. If it is Kyle Connor, I'm not as thrilled with it. I mean, I do love Kyle Connor, but if I'm gonna use Brian Little, who I don't really like, I want to have two dynamic playmakers and scorers like Laine and Ehlers. So again, this is a 7:00 start. So if you want to use either of those teams, you definitely have to pay attention to warm-ups. But there's that. If you're using Boston, I think Torrey Krug, Charlie McAvoy, it's a preference call. Little's terrible. I don't know. It's a preference call between Krug and McAvoy. I know some people prefer McAvoy, some people prefer Krug. I prefer Krug. That's just me. If you're using Winnipeg, I think my first option would be Trouba. Second option would be Josh Morrissey. Third option would be Tyler Myers. Because the flu bug is going around Boston, I do like Connor Hellebuck tonight. He is 7,300. I think he's viable in GPPs. The Boston's depth isn't that great, especially if a couple of those guys are out. They're going to be pretty rough down the middle tonight. I think Hellebuck is in playing GPPs for sure. On the other side, I don't really like Tuukka tonight at his price, 7,700 on DraftKings. People are going to use Tuukka tonight. It's just a fact. People love using Tuukka. But for me, at his price, I probably would prefer to spend up a couple hundred to get Dell or spend down a little bit to get, a Talbot, something like that. So for me, I'm going to take a hard line in the sand and I'm going to fade Tuukka tonight. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the New York Rangers taking the long trip to New Jersey to face the Devils. It's going to be the Queen, Henrik Lundqvist, going against Corey Schneider.
Say it again, Daddy. Say it again.
The Queen?
Yeah.
You don't like Lundqvist, do you?
No.
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
So, for me, I used New Jersey the other night when, Taylor Hall and Kyle Palmieri came back together. They did generate a good number of chances. They just couldn't break through against Lundqvist or against Ryan Miller.
I'm going to try it.
Okay. But, I really do like going back to the spot tonight.
Mama.
What'd you do with it? Oh.
Ryan. I found Ryan.
Yeah? Okay. So, I really do like this spot for New Jersey one tonight. I think, people got burned by them. The other game, maybe they're a little bit lower owned. When I used them, I did not expect their ownership to be as high as it was. It was a 5-game slate. This is a 10-game slate, and there's a lot of really good options. So New Jersey might go overlooked a little bit. They are, fairly cheap for a top line. Nice.
Is that you?
Yeah, Palmieri should be up there. I know Marcus Johansson is back, is on the second line. Bratt took a maintenance day yesterday. I think he's so he's down, but it's another 7 o'clock start. Avery's killing me right now. Yeah, Miles Wood, that line, Stefan Noesen got a lot of the ice time, but I believe it is Palmieri. I don't see why it wouldn't be. I don't know if this is a 2-1 type of game, but definitely New Jersey. I'm interested in their top line tonight. You feel better? Yeah, Miles Wood, the GOAT. Yeah, he is. He's a good skater. But depth lines of the Devils, I'm going to hold off on. Marcus Johansson's coming back, and I do like him, but okay, it is kind of a wait and see. You got me. On the blue line, I really like. Well, I don't really like, but I would prefer to go Sammy Vatanen at 3,500 over Will Butcher at 3,800. I think Vatanen's starting to get a little bit comfortable. If you want to go to Boyle and Noesen, I think that's chasing points a little bit. 80's in here. I saw him rumbling around. Yeah.
No. I said no.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think we had the Stefan Noesen ceiling game last time out. So, for me, it's New Jersey win or bust on this slate. I mean, salary's not an issue tonight. I don't know if you really need to dig that deep. So, Sammy Vatanen for me, then Will Butcher. Then if you want to punt with a John Morris Severson, I think you can do that. Yeah. I agree with Mikey here. So on the Rangers side, I think Mika is back. This is the second game back, but and again, price isn't really an issue, but I do prefer the second line for the Rangers tonight to the first. JT Millard, Rick Nash, Matt Zuccarello. I don't know. It's just like it's a feel thing for me because I do watch most of the Rangers games. I do prefer them a little bit to the Kreider line. But the Rangers are kind of middle of the road play for me tonight. I'm not like I'm not going, oh yeah, let's play the Rangers tonight. Yeah. That's not really one of my top plays tonight. I do like Schneider and net. At 7,800, I think I would prefer him to definitely New Jersey 1 to New York Rangers tonight. Taylor Hall is going to be the best player on the ice.
No, you're not.
And Rangers aren't very good defensively at all. Schneider 7,800. I'd much prefer Schneider to Rask if we're going by matchup here. Probably chalk. We're not going to sing Old MacDonald right now. So sing it. No. He likes Taylor Hall. He just wants to sing Old MacDonald. From the Rangers side, I get it. If you want to use Lundqvist, he's been playing really good. His save percentage on the season is back up to 920. It was a long trip back, but at 7,900, not my cup of tea for Lundqvist. I don't really trust Lundqvist at his age. He could have yeah, he wants to be. So, So, Lundqvist up and down on a season.
Up and down.
Yeah. So for me to trust somebody like Lundqvist at 7,900, just not in the cards for me. I don't mind if you're using the Rangers and using him in a GBP. I think that's okay. He's definitely a GBP play. I would avoid him in cash. Okay. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Anaheim Ducks traveling to Strong Island to face the Islanders. It's going to be Yaroslav Halak against Ryan Miller. The goalie matchup we all dreamed about. Okay. I'll clean it up in a second. Now my internet froze again, which is awesome.
Daddy, I'm getting one.
Okay, let's start with the Islanders. Yeah, I mean, okay. Okay, on a normal night, I'm all in on the Islanders top line. They are almost 21,000 to full stack, and this isn't the greatest matchup in the world for them. I don't like. Even though I did it last time, it burned me. I don't like targeting the Ducks now that Getzlaf and Hampus Lindholm are back. I think this makes the Ducks a good defensive team. Yes, and we'll get there in a second. But for me, I get the merit behind using the Islanders top line. The Ducks PK isn't very good. It is Ryan Miller, who actually was pretty good until the Devils game this season. His glove side was pretty bad. The New York Islanders the top line has been on an unreal heater recently. They've been great for like a month now. Stop. Yeah, I wrote up the second line for the Ducks today as well.
Ducks.
Yeah, the Ducks.
Where's Ducks going?
The second line for the Islanders, I think, is in play. They're always in play for me. I really like them as a secondary line. I think they're a better play tonight on the Islanders than the top line. That's a take that might burn me, but you know how much I like to play the top line of the Islanders at home, and I think, the Islanders' second line is a really good play tonight. I prefer them even to the Rangers. But for me, like someone just mentioned, the top play for me from this game is the second line of the Ducks, Henry, Cogliano, Silfverberg. Yeah. They are cheap. They have a lot of value. Henrique has been really, really good since coming over from the Devils. Cogliano is Cogliano. I mean, he's super cheap, but Silfverberg on that line is nice. They're going to get the Barzal line more than likely for most of the game defensively, which is, favors them on the offensive side. So I think, Anaheim too. Hopefully, because they're early, I hope they, because I do prefer LA 2 to Anaheim 2. I kind of hope, because the Kings don't play till 10:30 and the Ducks have been really good lately and are a 7 o'clock start, maybe more people gravitate to Anaheim 2. And the Kings are a little bit lower owned, but we'll see. So for defensemen, if you're using the top line for the Islanders, it's going to be Leddy or Boychuk for me. If you're using the second line, I would use, Pulak. On the Ducks side, probably Cam Fowler or Hampus Lindholm for me. I don't mind using Montour as well. Goalies from this game are probably going to be a hard pass. What'd you do with it? You got to keep it in your mouth. You're just making a mess. So I think goalies from this game are going to be a hard fade for me. Halak at 7,800 doesn't interest me at all. Ryan Miller is 7,100, which is an interesting GPP play, but I don't really like targeting against the Islanders at home. He's also coming off a shaky outing against the Devils, so I'm going to fade there. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Columbus Blue Jackets traveling to Pittsburgh to face the Penguins. It is Sergei Bobrovsky. I would assume against Matt Murray. Another game where we have to see the lines. Mike Sullivan has been changing them up very often. Kessel didn't skate yesterday, so I don't know if he's in, if it was just a maintenance day or he has a nagging injury. So from Okay. So from what I know, I'm going to go off what I know. If you want to use Pittsburgh tonight, I think the top line is the safest bet. Crosby and Gensel and Simon. Yeah, lines are going to be wonky. Yeah, I don't know if Simon's going to stick on the top line, but it should be Crosby and Gensel together. Second line, obviously is going to have Malkin. You would assume it's going to have Kessel. That remains to be seen. So if you're playing Pittsburgh, the safest bet's probably Crosby, Gensel, Letang, something like that. Zach Werenski's still out, I believe. So for Columbus, that gives the bump. Yeah, Hornquist skated on the top line yesterday in practice. So, but you never know what Sullivan's going to do. He was an assistant to Tortorella for many of years, so they're going to be coaching against each other. They're probably going to have some gamesmanship. Even the lineup, the warm-up lines might not even be accurate. So I'd proceed with caution from this game, especially But the safest bet for me would be Letang, Crosby, Gensel. What? This?
No.
What? No. That is ouchies. So from a Columbus side, I know they played yesterday, so I'm not a huge fan of back-to-back on the road with 20 games on the slate. But like I just said, Zach Werenski is out, so Seth Jones does get a nice bump. Yeah, NHL.com. I don't know how much you want to trust NHL.com. Where is it?
No.
It's right there. Big Ave, man.
Yeah.
You're struggling today. Here.
Abandoned ship.
Abandoned ship? Is that what you just said? So, yeah. So, Seth Jones, nice little usage bump for him. Marcus Nudivara.
We wash it.
Okay, we'll wash it. He was on the top power play yesterday. He's 3,000. This is a decent punt as well. I mean, if you do want to use a line from Columbus, because it is Pittsburgh, and they're okay. So it's pretty. Hold on, bud. You're just feisty today. Okay, we'll get it when we're done, and we'll go play with it. So if you do want to use a Columbus line, because Pittsburgh is a bit shaky defensively, I probably go to the second line. Jenner, Wenberg, Atkinson. You just hope that they're going to be together. Or is it Bjorkstrand? I already forget. But either way, the second line for me, the thing is, with Columbus, you just never know what he's going to do, what Torts is going to do outside the top line. So, I mean, that's my preferred line. But you never know. The safest. There, here a moo, there a moo, everywhere a moo moo. Yeah, so the safest bet for Columbus is Pierre-Luc Dubois, Josh Anderson, Panarin. They're going to be together. But, that second line that I mentioned is something that I would use if I'm using Columbus, as long as they're together. Goalies from this game I'm probably going to fade as well. I'm not a huge fan of Bob tonight. His price is decent, but he's been struggling pretty good recently. I want to wait and see until. Right. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of back-to-back on the road. This is a 10-game slate, so I think there are better options. But it is Pittsburgh. They are one of the weaker teams defensively, so I think you can attack them if you are on them. Matt Murray, Bob at 7,600. I think strictly GPP plays for me. They're towards the middle of the road for me. It would make more sense if you're correlating. I don't think I would plug them in as one-off goalies. Okay. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have the Ottawa Senators traveling to Tampa Bay to face the Lightning. Here you go. It is going to be in Craig Anderson, AD's number 2 rated goalie tonight. That's probably going to bite him in the cheeks a little bit later. Going against Vassie, who is 8,400.
No.
So the flu bug is going around Tampa. You know, Tyler Johnson had it. John Cooper said, you know, a couple other guys shouldn't have even played. But there hasn't been any indication that a lot of people are going to be out of the lineup. It is a 7:30 start, so it is early enough that it won't destroy your lineups. For me, you know, I love Tampa 1 tonight. They're the most expensive line of the night, 23 or you know, a little over 22,000 a full stack. You know what you're getting with them.
We need to mom.
You know, they're probably going up against Brassard line, which is a minor bump down, but you know, because they are in their small sample size, pretty good defensively, I believe. I know, you know, I think that's what it is. I mean, if you want to look at AD's line matching article, he'll have a much better breakdown than what I just gave you right there. But, you know, they're one of the best lines in the NHL, if not, you know, arguably the best line in the NHL. So I think you can go Stamkos, Kucherov, Nemestikov. They fit really nicely with a couple depth lines. If you can, it's really hard to fit them with Hedman. You can do it. You're just going to have to mix and match. You're not going to get a full second line in. I do also really like Sergachev. He is 5,100. Doesn't correlate as great, but, you know, he does see power play 2-time. And is really good. Also, Dion Phaneuf is out for the Senators, and Shabbat should be in at 2,900. I don't know if that might actually be an upgrade for the Senators, to be honest. Phaneuf is a glorified road cone at this point, so probably an upgrade for them. Tampa 2, also in play. I don't know what I really need to say about them. Just make sure Tyler Johnson's in. If not, I hope Yanni Gourde is up there. That'd be awesome. That would bump them up even more for me. They make sense with Sergachev even more for the power play 2 correlation. On the Ottawa side, I don't know. I'm just not about Ottawa right now. Especially against Tampa Bay at home. I know Vassie's 8,400, which is ridiculous, and I don't want to use him at that price. But I don't even know what the lines are. I don't think Guy Boucher knows what the lines are. He's probably going to mix and match. It's just not something I want to do right now. The team's a mess. Management issues, ownership issues. I think it's, you know, it's a fade for me. Vassie 8,400, I think you can use in cash. GPPs, I'm going to fade. Craig Anderson, I'm not in love with at all tonight. It's a tough matchup for him. AD is taking a stand on him. Could pay off. I'd rather go a different direction tonight. Let's move on to Carolina traveling to Nashville to face the Predators. Whenever my internet decides to load it up. It's going to be, I would assume, Pekka Rinne against Cam Ward's the probable goalie tonight. You know, Ward and Darling are both 6,900. So if you're really, you know, going for it and using either of those goalies, you don't have to worry about, you know, swapping because of salary. For me, I think, you know, Nashville's really up there as one of the better plays tonight. I think they're going to be chalky, as they always are at home. Can you stop? That would be cool.
No. What happened?
I don't know. My internet's being silly. So, Ryan Johansson, Victor Arvidsson, Philip Forsberg. That's you, yeah. I think are definitely in play. I'm not a big stack against Carolina guy, but there is definitely merit to using them tonight. It is Cam Ward. I think, Cam Ward's one of the worst goalies in the league. Nothing against him personally. It's just, his skill set has declined pretty rapidly as he ages. So, definitely top line for me. If you want to go to the second line, Turris, Fiala, Craig Smith, I think you can. They are getting a bit pricey. They're almost $17,000 a full stack. In that case, I'd much rather use the Devils top line than Nashville second line. But if you're going two mid-range lines, I think Nashville 2 is definitely in play. If you're going to use defensemen, if you're going to use the top line, I think PK Subban makes the most sense. Using the second line, Roman Josi makes more sense. Oh, something I did forget to mention in the Ottawa game, Erik Karlsson, coming off 2 goals, went down in price. I think he is the only playable person on Ottawa. He's $6,100. I think you can plug him in. He's $1,000 cheaper than Burns. He's seeing like 25 to 30 minutes a night. So there's that. So back to Nashville. If you're using the top line, I think PK Subban makes the most sense from power play correlation. Second line, I think Josi makes more sense from power play correlation. If you want to use Matthias Ekholm, he is a tad overpriced to $5,000. So again, I prefer to spend the extra $300 for PK. Ryan Ellis is skating. He's not going to be back tonight, but he should be back soon, which is going to be a nice bump for Nashville. On the Carolina side, I'm not really interested in Carolina tonight. The one line that I don't really mind if I'm going to use the Hurricanes is the third line, which is Derek Ryan, Sebastian Aho, and Elias Lindholm. For some reason, I really like that line. I don't know why. Yeah, that's the thing with Carolina. You never know what the hell they're going to do in warm-ups. But as it's constituted, I like that third line. Obviously, I like the top line, with Skinner. I think, Skinner, for me, is more of a one-off, his cash play, shoots the puck a bunch. But I'm not overly thrilled about using the Hurricanes tonight. This is a tough matchup for them. Cam Ward's in net. I know that doesn't really affect the offense too much, but if they do fall behind, 3-4-0, something like that, they're going to be fighting a pretty uphill battle. The one D-man I do like is Noah Hannafin at $3,600. I think you can go there as like a one-off if you need a defenseman. Jacob Slavin's not too bad at $3,300 either. I don't know what happened to Justin Falk, but he's, withering away. He is only $4,200 though. So yeah, it's Daddy's Band-Aid. In net, I have no interest in Cam Ward at $6,900. He is probable, so if for some reason Scott Darling does get confirmed, you're ridiculous. If Scott Darling does get confirmed, maybe I could take a chance on Darling at $6,900. It's not something that I would really want to do, but if you're like, I have this awesome lineup and I have to spend less than $7,000 on goalie, Scott Darling, there's, worse goalies than Scott Darling. Pekka Rinne, I think you can use in cash. I think he is a cash game play tonight. And GPP's at his price, $8,200. It's a little bit pricey for me. That's not something I like to do. If I'm staying on brand, I'm not going to be paying for Pekka Rinne tonight, but I certainly get the merit behind it. He has been one of the better goalies in the NHL this season, and I think you can go there for sure. Definitely more of a cash play than a GPP play, though. So let's move on to the next game of the night. The Chicago Blackhawks traveling to Dallas to face the Stars. Another game where you don't really know what the lines are going to be, at least from the Dallas side. Now my internet is going wonky again, but let's check it out. This game I don't really have too much interest in, to be honest with you, at all. This is a game where it's middle of the road. I don't really like targeting Dallas. People like targeting Dallas because they think they're poor defensively, but they actually are fairly decent defensively. Ben Bishop is a decent goalie. Okay, we're almost done. So maybe that leads to Chicago having more ownership than they should. Okay, Ben Bishop is 7,500 going against Corey Crawford, who's 8,000. I actually almost prefer Crawford a little bit in this game, which is kind of crazy. I just don't like what Dallas is doing 5-on-5 with their lines. You never know what they're going to be doing. If Ben and Seguin are not together, that bumps Corey Crawford a little bit. Again, 8,000, that's not something I like to do, but it does make sense. Chicago, I think, the top two lines are a bit of a preference. Again, they're middle-of-the-road GPP plays for me. I would have a slight lean to the Patty Kane line, just because Patty Kane's probably going to be the best Hawk skater. Kessel didn't skate yesterday, so I don't know where he's going to be. If you want to use the Tays side line, okay, DeBrincat's one of my favorite. But again, targeting Dallas isn't one of the things I really like to do. Yes, Jordan Osterley is in play. He's 3,200. You can definitely punt him. I also like Gustav Forsling at 3,600. It's not a secret. There's only 30 people here right now. So, I mean, especially if you're using, Chicago, Osterley makes sense. I think you can one-off him for sure if you need a punt defenseman.
There's a gumbo, Daddy.
Dallas, I got to see their lines before I have an opinion on it. They're at 8:30 start. You never know what Hitchcock's going to do. I think you... Yeah. I think Klingberg at 5,300 you can put in. Lindell at 3,900 is okay. I mean, if you really want to dig deep for a punt, Julius Honka is 2,900. That's taking a little deep. I think for me, unless something concrete changes and it's like Ben, Seguin, Radulov, Dallas is probably going to be a fade for me. Both goalies in this game though are in play in GPPs. If you are using, Chicago, Corey Crawford obviously makes sense. He did. I think he saw a little bit, but you never know with Hitchcock. Again, he's one of my least favorite DFS coaches, especially because they're not a 7 o'clock start. At least with when what's his face was the Islanders coach, it was a 7 o'clock start, so at least you could see it coming. Now you gotta wait. But Crawford at 8,000, Ben Bishop at 7,500 are both solid GPP plays for me. Yeah, so if Honk is still on the top power play at 2,900, I think you definitely can go there. So let's move on to the next game of the night. We have St. Louis Blues traveling to Edmonton to face the Oilers. It's going to be Jake Allen against Cam Talbot. St. Louis is on the back end of a back-to-back. They lost in Calgary last night 2-1. For me, I'm not a big fan of, shock. Back-to-back on the road. Shock. Haha. I'm also not a huge fan of Saboka on the line with Shen and Tarasenko, if that's the line. Yeah, well, 2,900, you don't really need too much to pay off there, but I wish it was Ivan Barbashev on the line with Shannon Tarasenko just because he's my boy. But
He's my mom.
yeah, Sobotka doesn't do much for me as a top line player. Even Yaskin would make more sense. But so for me, I get the merit wanting to use the Blues tonight, but I much prefer Edmonton and Cam Talbot tonight.
I see Connie. I see Connie, Daddy. I'm Connie.
Okay. Hold on. What do you want?
Connie.
Candy? There you go. Okay, so for me, I like to attack. I like to stack against teams back to back on the road. So Edmonton 1 is firmly in play for me. McDavid, Puljujarvi, and the nose Milan Lucic, who really doesn't do much for me either, but he is on the power play. This is Sekera's first game back. Clefbaum's on the IR, so Sekera gets a nice bump coming back. I think, at 4,000 he is playable. Darnell Nurse at 3,900 also in play. Why do you hate Puljujarvi on the first line? I think he complements McDavid really well. It's Lucic that drags down that line. But I think, yeah. Lucic is the worst. Yeah. I think, I don't know. They should put Leon Draisaitl back up there. Or, get someone who can skate. And hang with McDavid and Puljujarvi, like a Strome or a... even Camilleri can hang a little bit. Not the nose. But yeah, Edmonton 1 is in play for me. Despite my feelings about Lucic, I think you can definitely use Edmonton 1 tonight. I'd probably go Nurse, then Sekera. I know people, pronounce it differently. I don't even know what a Tage Thompson is. He sounds like a WWE jobber, and that's probably what he is. But yeah, I think, if you want to pay for block shots, pay up for Chris Russell. I think that is interesting, but I'm not going to do it. Matt Benning at 3,300. Larson, not the worst punts in the world, probably not where I want to go. But also the second line of Edmonton interests me as well. I'm just not a huge person to stack Edmonton without using McDavid. I kind of did it tonight, but at least I'm using someone from that line. But Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Patrick Maroon, Drake Caggiula, I think is a nice secondary line that might go under the radar tonight. I think it probably will go under the radar if you're comfortable with fading. If you're comfortable with using Edmonton without McDavid, I think the second line is a decent option tonight. I think Cam Talbot's in play in all formats tonight. Nice. At 7,400, that is cheap for being home and facing a team on the back-to-back. So he's in play for sure. Jake Allen should be fairly low owned tonight. I think a good number of people will be on Edmonton tonight. Jake Allen is obviously the better goaltender in the Blues organization, so I think, if you want to get a little bit contrarian, I think you can use Jake Allen in GPPs tonight. Definitely a fade in cash, though. So let's move on to the two late games tonight. We have the Colorado Avalanche traveling to LA to face the Kangs. It's going to be Johnny Quick, more than likely, against Semyon Varlamov. So Kopitar is going to be a hard match against Nathan McKinnon. They probably cancel each other out. I think, you can use the Kings top line if you want. I know Gabriel Landeskog is pretty good at limiting high-danger scoring chances, which makes me come off the top line of the Kings a little bit. There's obviously always merit to using Kopitar. Colorado isn't a very good road team, but that McKinnon, Landeskog, Randon line is pretty good defensively, so it does bump down, LA1 a bit. I think, the target for me would be the second line, Kempe, Toffoli, Pearson. Toffoli has goals in back-to-back games. Kempe is super cheap. Pearson's really cheap. Toffoli's mid-fives. Hopefully they get enough ice time tonight. I think they're going to be popular for sure. They're going to probably be hard matched up against the JT Confer line, so this could be high event hockey for both the second lines. Confer, Sven Andrighetto and Colin Wilson isn't the sexiest second line, but I did write them up tonight. They're super cheap. They are super cheap, and the Kempe line isn't the best defensively, so there's going to be a lot of chances both ways in this game. Colorado 2 is definitely going to be under the radar. They're going to be very, very low owned. I don't know if you need to go there, but it's definitely in consideration if you need a line that you get salary relief. If you want to go Zero Kings, that's fine. I mean, there's definitely more than one way to win tonight with 20 games or 20 teams playing. Yeah. They're not going to be sneaky. They're going to be, chalky, but, you can differentiate.
I want to go to Papa.
So, yeah, the second line of Colorado is on the second unit of the power play together. Well, I mean, they're not a good team. They had been playing better since Duchesne got traded. Semi Varlamov is the definition of a GPP play. I'd much prefer using Varlamov at 7,000 than Cam Ward at 6,900. That doesn't really excite me too much, but he can stand on his head. He's one of the goalies who can get a shutout and just ruin the night for plenty of people. So I think there is merit behind using Varlamov, especially if you're using Avs. Johnny Quick at 8,300. Probably cash, because the top line is going to be neutralized by Kopitar, so I think there is merit to using Quick and cash. GPPs I'd probably fade just because of the price. Blue liners in this game. If you're using the Avs, I definitely go Tyson Barrie. If you're using the Kings, if you're using the top line, Drew Doughty makes the most sense. If you're using secondary lines, Jake Muzzin or Alec Martinez for me. So let's move on to the last game of the night. We have the Vancouver Canucks traveling to San Jose to face the Sharks. It's going to against two of my boys, Aaron Dell and Jacob Markstrom. Whee! Logan Couture is still out, so the Sharks lines are still a bit wonky. I don't know if Aaron Dell's a must-play, but he is definitely in play in all formats for me at 7,900 at home. I think he's one of the better plays tonight. I'm not sure if the secret's out that he's a better goalie than Martin Jones, but I would imagine that it probably is.
I got it.
I'm not a huge fan of Markstrom on the road. I much prefer to use him at home. But San Jose is banged up. If I was going to use San Jose, I'm probably only going to have like a mini of Pavelski and Burns. If you want a little bit more power play correlation, I think you can put in Hertl, who is a center on DraftKings. He is 5,000, so that could be an interesting spot. But since Couture went out, that line, ice time did drop pretty hard. Chris Tierney's line did get more time on the ice. So for me, it's really Pavelski Burns, Pavelski Hertl Burns, or even Thornton Pavelski Burns. I think is in play a little bit here. So that's the Sharks. Vancouver side, man, I don't know. Sedin's look a little revamped, but this isn't a really good spot for them tonight. Yeah, I don't know how much Yannick Hansen you really want tonight. I'd probably go Vlasic. I don't know. The Canucks aren't as bad as people think they are, even though they're super banged up. Like, they put a hurting on Price and the Canadiens, even though they lost. You know, I think Edler's in play. Right. At 4,200. That's really about it for me. If you want to, you know, 80s boy Reed Boucher, I think he's with Gagne and some Besser, I think. Is it Besser? Might be. You know, I think Besser's in play in this game. If you want to do like a Besser Edler mini. Yeah, that's 80. That's 80's boy. Thinks he's gonna be the next Mike Hoffman. We'll see. Do you like Reed Boucher tonight? No. Okay. Avery doesn't like Reed Boucher tonight, but I think, you know, Besser, Boucher, Edler. Yeah, you like that though. I think you can go there. Do you like Avery? Do you like Craig Anderson tonight? Yeah. Interesting.
I like ears.
Yeah.
And glasses.
Okay. So that is the 10-game slate. If you have any questions, fire away for the next few minutes.
1, 2, 3, 4, and 8.
No questions? All right. No? You don't want to take questions? Okay. So we'll wrap it up. That is 10-game slate tonight. Who is Sahil losing with tonight? I have no idea. Detroit. The Red Wings aren't even on the slate, so I have no idea who's going to play. Cash goalies. Okay. Cash goalies, I think you can use Dell for sure. Rene. Vasi. If you want to spend down, I think Talbot. But, you know, I like to keep a short list for cash.
There yours. Oh.
No problem. Ow.
Where's the Band-Aid?
My Band-Aid's right here.
Who put it on?
Lisa put it on.
Lisa put it
Hopefully.
on.
Favorite
Lisa,
cheap line, I
Lisa
think, you know,
put it
LA 2,
on.
then Anaheim 2. GPP goalies for me are Talbot. Even Connor Hellebuck is in play. The ones I mentioned for cash are obviously in play. You know, I really like Aaron Dell tonight in all formats. I think Corey Schneider is a decent play. You know, I think my top goalies would probably be Talbot, Dell, and I don't know. I kind of really like Hellebuck tonight, but that's more of a dangerous play. I know AD loves Craig Anderson. He's going to see a ton of shots, that's for sure. You know, Craig Anderson and Semyon Varlamov at 7,000. You can get them really low owned. They're going to see a bunch of shots, and they may be able to sneak a win. Not going to say it's going to happen, but I'd much prefer Craig Anderson and Semyon Varlamov to Cam Ward. Yeah, I mean, I like the Lightning tonight for sure, but I'm just playing a little bit devil's advocate. Winnipeg 2, as long as Ehlers is on the line. If it's Kyle Connor, downgrade a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, Tyler Myers makes sense from a power play correlation standpoint. Either him or Morrissey if you're using the second line. I think Anaheim 1 is interesting. I'm not a huge Wah guy, so I would probably use, Getzlaf, Raquel, and Fowler. They're not one of my favorite plays tonight, but there's definitely merit behind it. Getzlaf is super cheap on DK. Islanders top line, I think,
Either one, this one?
I think you can use this. Yeah, you can use them in cash, especially Turris and Fiala. Actually, you can use all of them in cash, really. Islanders top line, I don't really like targeting the Ducks since Getzlaf and Lindholm came back. Obviously, the Islanders top line has been on an absolute heater.
Okay.
They're really good at home, so I think there's merit to using them tonight. I just don't think this is as great of a spot as they've been in before, but
No. You want
I
this?
still think you can use them.
Which one? This one? Again.
You too. What did I miss? You missed everything.
This one or this one? This one, Daddy?
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm going to go. Avery, we're going to go. Going to go get your fruits. Right?
Say bye.
So say bye.
Bye. I'm going to get my fruit.
Okay. So we're going to go. You can catch me on Twitter. You can catch me in the DFO premium chat. Hit me up there. Good luck, everybody, tonight. Hope you make a ton of money. Call me out if I made any stupid recommendations. We'll see you tomorrow.